Hello ladies, I hope you're all keeping well and safe, as safe as possible. Donegal, Derry and Tyrone are getting a really hard time with this COVID, so I hope you're all well. I'm absolutely delighted to have this opportunity to talk to you again. I really enjoyed the last session. I hope you got something out of it as well. Today we're going to start a small, short 4 videos and a topic we touched the last time, that is tracing your Derry ancestors. And we did discuss ancestors and place names the last time, and I hope you really enjoy that. First of all, I'd like to thank Carl and the Unheard Voices Project and the Craigan there for having me back. I really appreciate the invite back, and I'm delighted to be working with you. What we're going to do in these 4 videos, and there's no need to worry about writing anything down, is I'm going to highlight a couple of pieces of information that you probably know some of these already, that you can follow so that you can trace your own ancestry. My talk will be followed by slides that you'll be able to write down the information there for the links for the different websites to go searching for this information. Also, I'm sure Carol will send you an email with the information there. So all you have to do is sit back, relax, and try to listen and to take as much of this information as possibly as useful to you. In this video, with the introduction, I'm just going to do 2 parts to this video: finding your parish in Derry, and also searching the 1901 and the 1911 census returns. So there are 45 parishes in County Derry altogether, and you can identify these parishes and the associated townlands that you come from by visiting a site. And as I said, this site reference will come up afterwards in the video. It's www.johngrenham.com, and there's a drop down menu on that, and you can select Derry, and you can go in there and check out your own townland, check out your own parish, and of course there's no charge for this. And that is a very useful foundation block to start off with your own parish. Also very important is searching, and this is the second search area I'm recommending, is searching the 1901 and the 1911 census returns. Very good information here, very valuable, and it's interesting to see family numbers, what they were doing, education, languages, often mostly English, but in our areas they would have English and Irish, and in some northern areas as well, in the Sperrins. So the census enumeration of 1901 and 1911 is arranged by townland in rural areas, and by streets if you're a city dweller, if you're in the city in urban areas. And that can be searched at www.census.nationalarchives.ie. These returns are very interesting because they will list the names, the ages and the place of birth of all members in the household. And this is also free of charge. So it'll be interesting to see if it's like Donegal. When you see the names, you'll see that the oldest son is named after the father's father, and the oldest daughter then is named after the mother of the wife, and these name patterns continue, and what kind of age difference was between the man and woman, and you'll often see 10, 12 years, and how young they married, and health, and how many were in the family. In that era, many families had 8, 9, 12. So these 2 things, the finding your parish and going over the census to see the breakdown of your family around 1901 and 1911, is very interesting. Just one thing on the census, remember to look at the dates, because sometimes it'll only show maybe 8 of the family where there was actually the younger ones aren't shown because they haven't been born. So it's good to have a good look at that, and also check with your own relatives to see if you can find any further information. So that's the end of the first video, and slide will follow now. So I look forward to doing the next 3. Thank you very much. Welcome back, ladies, to the second video of exploring your Derry ancestors. On this video, I'm going to be directing you to 4 different sources, online sources. These sources come from church, from the state, from the governments, and also from private companies. And it's important to note that I'll be pointing you towards 4. There are 2 of them free, and 2 of them there are charges to use them. So obviously you're going to try the free ones first to see if you can get your information without incurring cost on yourself. What we're going to be looking at is probably births, marriages and death records. And we'll start off with the first source, and that is www.irishgenealogy.ie. And this is a great source site because it keeps church and state records. Now the church records are very slim. It's all Ireland up till obviously 1921, and you'll see that in a lot of the records that they go to 21 or 1919 till partition happens, because it would have been all under British administration till then. The church records are very few in this Irish genealogy. They only have to do with Cork, Kerry and some of Dublin. But you have birth certificates there for all of Ireland from 1864 to 1990. You have marriage certificates from 1845 to 1921. And you have death certificates from 1871 to 1921. And they're all at irishgenealogy.ie. And all you have to do is supply 4 pieces of information. The first name of the person you're looking for, the surname, the civil registration district, that's the district, often it's the parish where they would have been registered, and then the year range, and there's no charge with that one. The second source that I would like to point you to is the Groney or General Register Office Northern Ireland, General Register Office Northern Ireland, and they have a website. It's nidirect.gov.uk/services/go Groney online. Now, as I said, these slides will come up afterwards to show you these places. This site you have to pay for. You have to buy credits for a search. So you have to provide your email address, you have to create a password, you have to do a security question, and you have to provide your name and address. And then you have to buy credits at 50p each. And a basic search will cost you 50p, but a full search, an average search, will cost you £2.50. And here again, you can search roughly the same range of dates for the birth certificates, 1864 to 1920. Any birth certificate that's over 100 years old. You can search the marriage certificates, that goes further, anything over 75 years old. So that goes from 1845 to 1945. And death certificates, 1864 to 1970. That's anything over 50 years old, and I think that includes the Second World War, people who were killed in the Second World War. So there, the first 2. One is free of charge. It would be worth checking that one out first. And the second, you have to pay £2.50 or more. So moving away from state and civil records to moving to graveyards and private companies. And Derry Genealogy has done an awful lot of work. They've transcribed and computerized early baptismal records and marriage certificates for 97 different churches, 38 Roman Catholic churches, 24 Church of Ireland churches, and 35 Presbyterian churches in Derry, and they have copied down 117 graveyards. So this is a very good site, and its address is www.derryrootsireland.ie. And there is a charge with this, in that you take out a subscription, and the minimum you can take out is for 1 day, and it costs £13, or you can take out a month for £26. I don't know if you're a member of a club or an association, or maybe Carla, some answer here that they can take that out for the collective for a number of you. So very good, useful information there from the church registers and graveyards. And the last site I'm going to talk about is the Derry Strabane, Derry City Cemetery records. And as Derry City Cemetery was opened in 1853 and remained open till the early 1960s, and it was the main burial place for both Protestants and Catholics in the city. So the burial register in Derry City Cemetery, dating from 1853 to 1961, can be searched at this site, derrystrabane.com cemetery records. So it's derrystrabane.com /cemetery records. They need 3 pieces of information for you to do this search: your name, the name of the person you're searching for, the surname, and the year of death. And then you just submit it, and it does a search. There is no charge for this service, so it's very good. Now, this is the most long-winded video, this second one. So we've 2 done and 2 more to go, and I think the next 2 will be shorter. So the slides will follow with that information. Thanks very much. Welcome back to video 3 of this series of 4 videos exploring your Derry ancestors. In this short video, I'm going to point you out or direct you to 3 different sources online. One of those sources is wills from the National Will Register. The other source would be newspapers, and the last source is a tax and property survey that happened in Ireland called the Griffith Valuation. So the first one, the National Will Register, and as I said, slide will follow that'll give you all these website addresses, so don't worry if you're trying to take them down now. www.nidirect.gov.uk /services/search will calendars. This is a search, an index to will calendar entries for the District Probate Registry of Londonderry from 1858 to 1965. So what you physically can see on this, if you put your last name and surname in, is digital images of actual copies of wills for the years 1858 to 1899 in Derry. These cost money. There's 3 types, but I'm only going to talk about 2 of them, because the third one's very expensive. The first one is a will search of a registered will. So that you need to be sure that you know the will was registered. And that costs £45.60. And then there's the second search, which is more comprehensive. It's registered and non-registered wills. And that is £114. So it's quite expensive to have a look at these registers. There's a third that gives you an option, and it's far more expensive, of looking at associated documentation with the wills. So it's something just to have a look into and to probe to see if it's of any use to you. Another great source is the National Paper Archive, and you can search in this. It's www.britishNewspapers.co.uk. So it's www.britishNewspaperarchive.co.uk. Sorry, British Newspapers Archive.co.uk. As I said, the slide will follow with these addresses. So in that, they have a huge collection of papers over 300 years from Britain and Ireland, and these papers have amassed up 40 million pages. And in these papers, especially with respect to Derry, you can look through the records of the Derry Journal from 1825 to 1955, and the Londonderry Sentinel 1829 to 1959, and also the Londonderry Standard, an old paper too, from 1836 to 1872. They have a subscription, and probably monthly subscription, of £12.95. So you can have a whole month searching through these papers, and it takes a lot of time to search these papers. If you don't have definite dates, they also offer a 12-month annual subscription. You pay £6.67 a month. I don't know, maybe if you have a historical society, that would be the one to take out. And the third and the last census is the Griffith Valuation. And I suppose everybody starts off with local history, goes to the Griffith Valuation. It's where I started myself. And basically what happened here between 1848 and 1864 was finished, even though it was finished in Derry in 1859. It's a property tax survey. So the British are doing a survey on property and on buildings so they can tax people. Interesting, because if you know the name of the householder, and it's only one name that's given to you in this situation, it's the householder. No other family members are mentioned. So you would need to know who was the head of your family at that era, between 1858 and 1859 in Derry, and who occupied it, who was listed, who was the head, and it'll tell you the building, the property, the valuation of it. And what is good too, if you knew where the house was, because a map accompanied this survey, this tax survey, an Ordnance Survey map 6-inch, and there's references in the survey, letters and numbers telling you. So you can check that out in the map. If you know where the house is, then you can check it, reference back to the map. So this is a useful survey. There are the three sources. That's video number three, and we've one left to go. I hope you're getting some information out of this that's useful. Thanks very much. Welcome back to the last video, Exploring Your Derry Ancestors. Video 4 of 4. This probably will be the shortest video. What I'm going to talk about here is 3 online sources that are quite specific. They're not that general. It's not everybody that can get information from them, but definitely they're worth having a look at. The first one is the search for the 1831 census. Now the 1831 census, it's full for Derry, which is quite unusual, and it's does a search, gives you the source of the names and locates the heads of households in rural and urban households in 1831 in Derry, in villages, towns and cities. And in the cities it does it by street. So if you live in the city yourself and you think people have been back in the city at that time, it's worth having a look at. It doesn't cost anything, and you can link it up to the Tide books of 1830. Now, if you want to find out more about these books, unfortunately there are no maps with these books. You can look at askaboutireland.ie. But to look at this census, again, the websites will come up afterwards. It's www.billmcafee.com/1831 census.htm. So it's www.billmcafee.com/1831 census.htm. McAfee is spelled M-A-C-A-F-E-E. Second source I would like to direct you towards is an unusual source, and it's the Flax Growers List. And that has to do with households throughout Ireland in 1796. And what that does, it locates the heads of rural households, of course. And it can be searched on a site called www.failteromhat.com/flax 1796.php. So again, these addresses will come up afterwards in a slide. It's very easy to search this. It's not everybody that will have their family connected to this, but all you have to do is enter a surname or a full name, a partial surname or a full surname, and then enter the county, and Derry's the county, and just submit, and the names will come up then of all the flax growers in that area. They come up by surname and by townland. The last and the final source is a very unique source to the city of Derry itself. It comes from the London Dairy Corporation, and they held records from 1673 to 1901, 23 different volumes. These are very interesting. And they're all digitized, and they're all available online, and they're free to look into, and I think, you know, they make fascinating readings. The Public Record Office Northern Ireland that is supplying those, and these records are the corporation, the meetings they had, when the meetings happened, who attended, and the members would have been people like craftsmen, like tailors, like coopers, like drapers, those sort of people, and they're all named and mentioned there. Also, what is interesting is the excerpts at the end, what is happening in Derry at the time. The two sieges of Derry, they talk about the security of the city, they talk about the need to employ people to close the gates, and those people are named. And also, there's strange excerpts like having to employ what they call a scavenger to clean up the streets because the streets are getting messy. So it's very worthwhile to have a look at that. And they're found in the Northern Ireland government.uk articles, search London Dairy Corporation records. Now, as I said, all these addresses will come up afterwards, but they're a unique and valuable piece of historical evidence and interest to the city of Derry. Okay, we've come to the end. I've listed a lot of things out. As Carl says, this is only supposed to be a guide to direct you in certain ways. I hope you've got some benefit out of this. I hope that you are enjoying your course, and it was really a pleasure to work with you, and hopefully when all this COVID's over that we can meet again and maybe take a trip out and see you again and see how you got on, and I'd like to see the end product of your work. I hope you have a good Christmas and a good New Year, as good as we can have, and maybe we'll meet in the New Year. Thank you very much. Gur maith agam.